Hi, Shruthi. Thank you so much for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Shruti with a U, and I um, I came to the US for my grad school for biomedical engineering, and then I now work at a startup, working on learning more about longevity and how we can extend human lifespan by 10 years. Yeah,
I really hope you're able to get on that soon.
yeah, maybe before 10 years would be nice. So I can live longer than
But it's interesting. So, Shruti with the U, Surthi, right?
Sruthi.
Sruthi. Uh, uh, okay, awesome. Thank you. Um, well, what got you into longevity?
Um, Actually, it's the project that got me. So like when I started my master's, I was just generally interested in biomedical field, and then the project that I like started off for my PhD work was in the intersection of physics and aging, and I really got intrigued by the way my advisor at that time described the project to me, and then like as I started reading more about aging as a field, I got more and more interested, and I think I want to be in this field for however I want to be to solve the problem. So we'll see.
It's really awesome to think about. I know extending life has been the topic of science fiction films for
Yeah.
a long time, and kind of like the social issues associated with it. So much of our lives are based upon kind of like the finiteness of it.
Yeah.
And what happens whenever you can actually have multiple lives within the same life, and how does that change everything? I was wondering if you think about these things.
Um, I think we already do, right? Like our interaction with one person is like kind of a life, and then like we have different trajectories with different people. You can think of it as like having different dimensions to the same personality. But yeah, like if we extend life, like then it's there's going to be more permutations and combinations of that particular trajectory. So I guess you can think of it that way too.
Um, well, I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. I guess first of all, did you know that NASA's planning to send astronauts back to the moon?
Uh, Actually, I didn't know before you told me, but then I looked it up. Yeah.
Well, after finding out about it, did you have any initial reactions?
Um, Actually, I didn't, because I felt I was almost surprised that like why did they even stop? Like they should have like tried in some other form. Other countries are still trying to do that. So I was kind of shocked in the beginning, but then I realized that it's more about the safety and like wanting like a perfect mission. And then yeah, it didn't really like move me. Uh, yeah.
Um, I know a lot of people have been asking me, why are they going back? Having we been to the moon before? And then other people are like excited and, just, why did we stop? Some people even think we never stopped, but
Yeah,
that's
actually, why did we actually stop?
well, I think the main sort of political driver of us going to the moon was to catch up and beat the Russians. And
Mm.
so once we had landed on the moon, I think the thought or the feeling was it cost so much money and we achieved that. What are the we just kind of like lost the will to do it. And it's kind of interesting. A lot of people became bored with the space program after the initial landing. Like there was a lot of excitement around that. Can they do it? There's like, but then whenever they started making it look routine, I think people became less interested in it. And I guess people want to like see some type of uncertainty get resolved as opposed to a perfectly planned mission.
Mm, yeah. Okay.
So it'd be interesting. Now that China is interested in going back to the moon, and then lots of other countries too, India, Europe, Japan, a whole bunch,
Mhm.
Russia again, still. So
Yeah. So, the other, like, so the space stations, like, there were a lot of, like, still traveling to the space stations, and then, so it was still like not directly to the moon.
yeah, the space station is about 200 kilometers above the Earth, and the moon is, I think, about 180,000 kilometers or
So
miles.
nobody went from the space station to the moon at all, also.
Yeah, no, no, and I mean, you got several problems. One is it takes a lot more energy to go to the moon than to the space station. But then the second thing is the space station's in a different in its orbit. Is not just closer to the Earth, but at a different angle than the moon. So it'd be really difficult to go from the space station to the moon.
Okay.
So that's but whenever okay, so working in longevity, maybe you've thought about this a little bit more. Um, when you think about humanity in 200 years from now, what images come to your mind?
Yeah. I think for sure there will be a lot of problems on Earth that would have been solved already. Uh, like generally moving towards like a healthier lifestyle, uh, and uh, more kind of mixing of cultures. Maybe uh, like your because of your thoughts in space. Like I think generally people would just like start discovering more and more. Like now that we have, uh, I'm pretty sure that by 200 years, like AGI will be solved, and so like there'll be another layer of complexity where like how can us like as conscious beings interact with like technology, which is also maybe conscious at that time point, and then like um that would like really accelerate all fields of discovery. Maybe people will start caring more about uh, outside of themselves than like inside of themselves. Yeah, it's a lot of like fiction will become true, I think.
It will be very interesting. It's funny you talk about people being healthier and things. As our medical science becomes better and we're able to repair people, I'm wondering if it actually might lead us to do the opposite. People become more riskier and thrill seeking, uh,
What?
and thrill seeking, looking for adventure and excitement, doing riskier things because they're like, what's the risk? The medicine, we have the medical technology to like repair me.
Ah, I see. Maybe a small percentage of people would be like that, but I don't think everybody would, right? Like, uh, there are like risk takers all the time, but like not everybody is a risk taker. So like, I wouldn't ever like dive, do skydiving, for example. uh, yeah, so there'll be a proportion of people.
Do you think we have people living their entire lives off of the earth in 200 years?
Yeah, maybe. Actually, I did hear about like when I was an undergrad, there was this like I don't even know whether this was like true or not, but there was this like trip to the moon sign up, and people signed up for it. uh and there was even like media coverage around it. Like a couple of students from my university signed up and they were interviewed, and then like something happened, and like that turned out to be not really like happening. So I think that like definitely it's possible, either moon or Mars. Like I think people will start exploring and inhabiting these planet or moon. Yeah.
Do you think you'll be alive in 200 years?
I would like to be, or maybe I would like for a part of me to be alive in some way. Um, but I don't think I actually will be. I don't know. I want to be though.
If you are alive in 200 years and you happen to be watching this interview, what do you think your reaction will be?
Uh, what two little dumb creatures talking about like things that they don't even know how to imagine.
I know it'd be like talking to people 200 years ago about frequent flyer miles.
Frequent flyer miles.
Yeah.
Frequent flyer miles outside of the Earth.
Well, no, I was thinking right now, if we were watching a video about 200 years ago and they were talking about flying and how it would be. I mean, I can
Oh
only
yeah.
imagine what they would be imagining.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe, I mean, like, it has been a little over 200 years, right? Like 1500s or 1600s when flying was invited, like, right?
1903.
Also, not even. Wow, okay. Maybe they didn't even imagine that they could fly.
No, no, they didn't. Yeah, people thought they were crazy. And then once they showed it was possible, like within a few decades, it became a thing.
Wow, nice. Yeah. Uh, do you think that people will inhabit
I do. I do. In fact, I think it'd be sooner than anybody will think. I think by 2050 we'll have a city on Mars.
a city?
Yeah.
How do you define a city?
1 million people.
1 million people by 2050, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, that's in my lifetime in 20 years. Sure. Okay, we'll see. Do you want to be one of them? Do you want to
On
take
some
part?
days. On some days. I'm planning to take a trip to Minneapolis maybe in December, February. Let's see how that goes because of that'd be equivalent to a warm, sunny day on Mars.
Is
So
there's a simulator or something in Minneapolis?
Oh no, it's just extremely cold in Minneapolis in the winter. So my wife's like, if you can handle that, then talk to me, but don't talk to me if you can't.
Okay.
But I think it would be neat, I mean, to actually expand out the boundaries of humanity in like a real concrete, definite way. Um, I mean, the key thing is to be a source of inspiration and not like a tell of warning. You don't want to be the example if you don't want to be that guy. He went to Mars and froze. You want to be
Yeah.
you want to be the guy that they're like, wow, he went to Mars and it was like, you know, going to New York City before it was built and having like the vision or something.
Yeah, for sure. Um, but why? What? How is your estimate? Like, is it backed up by any data?
Um, no, but it's not completely unfounded. Elon Musk is working on a completely reusable spacecraft, and he is intent on building a city on Mars. And if he's able to make Starship, which is the spacecraft that they're working on, completely reusable and can fly as often and as cheaply as they think, um, then I think it'd be just like the Wright brothers. Once people see that it's possible and once it becomes economical, then there'd be like a gold rush type of thing. And everybody will want to be a part of it. So
Initially, I think it would definitely be like, like a novelty thing. Like, oh, let's go to a vacation to Mars or something. And then, like, yeah, I think it'll take more than at least a century, maybe, for the 1 million people to settle, um, to want to
Well,
settle, right?
yeah, Mars is a bad place in every respect, um, compared to Earth, except for one, and that is the unpredictability of your fellow human. So I think if you have like the threat of like nuclear war, for example, or some type of biological warfare and things like that, Mars, people might prefer the hardship of Mars over that uncertainty here on Earth.
Sure. But wherever there are people, they can carry weapons.
Yes, yes. I know it's a temporary solution.
Yeah.
As a temporary solution. But and then also you have people who really want to live life a certain way, like religious people, for example. They might see Mars as a chance to kind of create their own version of how society should be, kind of insulated from the mainstream of humanity. So I mean, I think you have kind of lots, these different sort of motivations. The same motivations that took people from Europe to North America, after Columbus, which is interesting. Today's Columbus Day, so that's kind of fitting
Yeah, yeah,
into
actually.
that. Yeah, but so talking about you, if you could, would you take a trip to space? And it could be anywhere from like one of those 15-minute journeys just above the atmosphere to maybe a trip to Mars. But would you take some trip to space if you could?
For sure, I would. I would check the safety of it. Like, I don't want to die. But I would for sure if it is safe enough and if it's like a foolproof thing. Then I would. Uh, I think I think it'll be even interesting to go through all the like the tests uh before like going into space, like my how I'm doing like physically, like all the psychological and physical tests that people have to take. That'll be interesting, I think. So I will definitely do it if I get a chance.
Um, and you say you want to make sure it's safe. How would you determine it was safe enough for you? Like, would that be based upon how many people went before you, or
Yeah.
would it be based upon something else?
Yeah, it'll be mostly based on how many people went before me. Like I would want at least 10,000 people before me have gone, and like there should be no deaths at least in the first 10,000. Uh, and yeah, and then like of course the safety and reliability of the space shuttle or like whatever carrier for passengers there would be. Also, yeah,
But what about longer term issues like the Earth's magnetosphere and atmosphere protects us from radiation, but if you like went to the moon and back, you'd be exposed to cosmic rays and
yeah.
radiation. Yeah.
And some people consider that as an accelerated aging like model. Uh, so that is a risk. But I think that like uh, um, I would still want to try for the curiosity of it. Like, yeah, I think I would still want to experience it.
That is awesome. Well, Shruti, I really appreciate your time, and those were the questions I had. Did you have any questions for me or anything else you think would be good for your 200 year in the future self to be looking at when they look back at
Uh,
this video?
do you do you know yet what you'll be doing with how many videos do you have till now? 200, 2,000 something?
Until now, close to 1,400. And whenever I finish the project, it'd be 1,840. Um, and I'm not entirely sure. I think what I probably will do is let it sit for a few years and then maybe go back through and watch the videos and then maybe put together a montage or a summary or some type of interesting insights. I think because in addition to talking about space, I actually started this project pre-COVID, so it'd be interesting to see kind of how that rolled out in the course of these interviews.
That'll be cool. Maybe like give the compilation to a story maker, like a documentary maker or somebody, and then like they can parse through and make a story out of it. Have you talked about this to colleagues that you're doing this, and how do they react?
Um, they either have one of two reactions. Well, I guess I got a third one now, but they have one reaction is, "Oh, that's cool," and then another reaction is, "Okay," and then another reaction is, I need to make sure that people know it has nothing to do with my job. So I,
Oh, okay.
but it's generally positive. Yeah, no, I think they think it's neat, if not. Uh, it's been really difficult to find a person every single day. So that
I'm
some days are
surprised.
easier.
Like
Yeah.
usually, like with respect to social networks, like 150 is the maximum people that at a time you can remember, right? Like, I'm surprised that you've like ran into so many people and like gotten these things done. It's
Well, and it
impressive.
was so cool. Yesterday, I was at the Boston airport, and I was wearing my space shirt, and this guy was waiting for his order from like the what is it, Payway, the Asian food place. And I was waiting for my order, and he sees my space shirt, and he's like, "Oh, do you like space?" I'm like, "Yes, I love space." And he's like, "Me too. I work at SpaceX." And he turned out to be an accountant at SpaceX, and I interviewed him for my project.
Oh, wow.
I know.
That's so cool. Like you actually m- like this project incentivizes you to talk to random people, even if you wouldn't otherwise.
Absolutely. And I have heard so many amazing ideas and had so many amazing interactions. I mean, I think once you get, like, there's like a bubble that surrounds us that keeps us from interacting with each other. And once you kind of like get through that bubble, then, you can have like a lot of good interactions. Like, I think whenever I go up to people, they think I'm trying to sell them something or maybe trying to scam them in some way. Uh, you know, it's just
Yeah.
like, what? You want to know about my opinions about the moon? It's like I get that reaction a lot.
Also, like I'm curious, like how many people have thought like uh after you interviewed my dad, we were chatting about this, and he was like, maybe like uh you would submit this data to NASA in some way, and like NASA would parse through these videos and like I don't know, like generate something out of it. As a like people's reaction to general space things. Uh yeah, what do you think about that?
I think that's unlikely, but I think it helps inform me, and then I have opportunities from time to time to contribute ideas and feedback, and sometimes I could draw on kind of the conversations I had to say, well, some people think this and some people think that. The most surprising thing is like 80% of the people I talk to have no idea that we're going back to the moon. And it's one of the major projects that NASA is working on. And NASA does a lot to promote it. That's like all over the website, all over their social media. They're talking about going back to the moon all the time. But I think it really talks about how we get our news is different now than it used to. Like we each get personalized news feeds based upon what we've read before. And so if NASA's not on your radar, it doesn't matter how much promotion is going to be out there, it's not going to show up.
Nice. Do you want the promotion to be more wide? Is that one of your goals?
Yes, there's four things I'd like every elementary, middle school, and high schooler to know. Uh, and this is one of them. But the other are one, there's been somebody in space every single day that they've been alive because we've had the International Space Station continuously occupied since 2001. Um, And then two, we'll have people on the moon before they graduate from college, which should be the first time since 1972. So I think that's really exciting that they're going to be living in an age that's going to go to the moon and keep going and go further. Three, we'll have people living on Mars in their lifetime. And then four, they could participate in this in so many different ways and as much as they want to. So yes, if I had a goal, it would be to let middle school, high schoolers, elementary schoolers know those four things. That would be kind of my thing. This project's not doing that, but it's kind of giving me an idea on the nature of the challenge, maybe.
That's really cool. Maybe if that's your goal, if that's one of your goals, then you can actually like go to schools and like interview people, and that will like definitely spread the word, right?
Yeah, definitely. I have this North Houston Space Society where we have monthly meetings and people that are interested in space, we get together and we have like guest speakers. I was thinking about trying to organize them to go out into the schools to maybe do little presentations, as well as maybe have events to bring like teachers together and educate them and figure out some way to make space part of their curriculum, be it a writing class, a history class, a physics class, even gym class, or, there's like training to be an astronaut type of thing, or how would that be different? Or, what is it like to exercise when you don't have the constant pull of gravity, or, the perception of gravity. Yeah. So
Mm.
those are some things that I've thought about in terms of uh, trying to, you know, create that vision, create
Mhm.
that, make that happen.
One last thing, like with the mission back to the moon, what is the main like objective that we or the US as a country wants to achieve? Is it the water discovery or like what? Like for settlement purposes or what?
Um, so you will get a lot of answers, different answers to that. Um, uh, the scientists want to go there and discover things. Engineers want to build things to, kind of explore and test there, and then a whole bunch of variety of other reasons. But um, us as a country, that isn't enough to necessarily move us in big numbers. I think that the thing that really motivates us as a country is competition with other countries, and I think really is like China and their plans for the moon um, are. I think that is the primary driver in terms of kind of like the nine non-science and engineering groups of people is basically making sure that we don't lose our place and that China basically can, kind of put their bases and things on the moon and prevent us from getting them.
Okay. Um, I see that like you mentioned this like even for the first like 1976 missions that happened like with people from the US and even now. Um, I'm gonna try to frame a question like you do. Like looking back at this video 200 years from now, do you think it'll matter like which country went to the moon? Um, at all. Like if it's a city that's composed of like people from all countries, would it matter even? Or you think the competition should still persist even in the moon?
Um, I think as we move out to space, our concept of Earth-based countries change. And the person that's like your neighbor is going to have more of an effect on you than somebody that's hundreds of thousands of miles away. Um, so I'm hoping just like North America was kind of like this melting pot for people all around the world. Maybe the moon and Mars is like that for people here. I mean, personally, I know it's going to sound unpatriotic, but I just want to see people go out to the moon and Mars. And I really, um, what language they speak and what country they're from is less important to me than the fact that it happens.
Mhm.
So, but if it takes competition to make it happen, bring it on.
I see. I see. You're talking the reality, not like the aim. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see humanity. I mean, as far as we know, and this is just because maybe we don't know enough. I mean, Earth is the only place where we have intelligent life and this great biosphere and stuff. And the rest of the universe, as far as we can tell now we can't see that much of it. It's just one vast desert. And I think it would be amazing to see that desert bloom. And I think humanity could be a big part of making that happen. First, it's to the next planet, then it's to the next star system, then it's the entire galaxy. And maybe at some point we figure out how to go between galaxies. And the entire universe is booming with life and, you know, and like complexity and, you know, interesting things happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll be cool.
So that's what I want to see.
All
Well, I
right.
really appreciate your time, and I know it's such a short notice, but I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for interviewing me and all the best with the project.
Thank you too.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.